Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on TikTok, Confessions of My Recovery. I'm so happy that you're a part of my recovery. I'm so happy that you have time to be here so I can share my strength and hope with you. And today I'm going to talk about gratitude and relationships. In my addiction, I really didn't have no, how you say, good relationships with people. It was all about the drug. It was all about having a good time. There was no sound, good relationships in my addiction because I was concerned about feeling a certain way, and that's being high. And as I've explained in my videos, how I've been high for years at a time, and people say that you cannot, but I had enough dope to continue this process. So every time that I felt I was coming down, I boosted myself back up. So yes, I was high for years because I had enough dope to stay high all the time. And that was a curse. It was not a blessing because it caused me to live in addiction for 40 years. So it learned for me to live in addiction for 40 years. So as I came into recovery and I was learning about myself and I started to actually remember the things that I did in my addiction to myself and others, I didn't feel too good about myself. And on the flip side of that, it also caused me to change my behavior, to change my behavior. And this is what I did. So, as I'm in recovery and I'm meeting people, I'm stripped down to the naked Robert. The life that I chose for myself in my addiction, I'm owning up to it. And now I'm associated around people like me doing the same thing. They're doing the same exact thing. And we started to bond. So in recovery, in the beginning, I started bonding with people. And the pain that I've experienced in my addiction and the pain they've experienced in their addiction was the common denominator that brought us together. And we would associate. So in the early recovery, I started to have honest connections with people. That is one of the gratitudes and the blessings of recovery. You have the connection with a human being and they see you for who you truly are and they associate with you, which allows you to feel good about yourself. You start to feel good about yourself because you feel now that you're going in the right direction. So as you build up into your recovery and you keep doing the next right thing and you keep working on yourself, you do the step work, you do all that you need to do for your recovery, and you start to meet other people and associate with other people. And then the wisdom and understanding of your addiction teaches you, gives you wisdom and understanding to not associate with other people that you know would lead you down the rabbit hole, or that's their lifestyle and you choose not to be a part of it. Now you're taking ownership of who you are and what you want around you. You're beginning to love yourself. So when you begin to love yourself, you are open to relationships. People get to see the real you, not the dope fiend person, not the addict, but the real you. And they like what they see. They truly do. And here's the thing, when a man is going into recovery and he works on himself and he starts to feel good about himself, then he presents himself with respect to others and himself. When a woman feels that way, she pays attention to her hair, her makeup, the clothes that she wears. She presents herself in the way of respect for herself and others. And both male and female are putting the best foot forward. Because the reason why is because in your addiction, it was all false, it was fake. The drug controlled the narrative and the situation. But now you're in recovery and you're living life on life's terms. So you're being honest, open, and you have respect for others. You adapt back to the person you was before your addiction. Excuse me. You adapt back to the person you was. This is Robert Goodman here. Confessions of My Recovery on TikTok. I'm so happy that you're here. What I do now is that all of my live stream videos they go straight to my YouTube channel. So if you can't see it on TikTok, you can go to my YouTube channels. That's where every 24 hours I would like to this one will be posted tomorrow and so on. And this is how I do it. This is the way it's gonna be continually do it. So you'll have more. You can go right to my YouTube channel. I have 3 channels there with a lot of information about recovery. Also, we're operating here, pushing recovery too. But wherever you feel comfortable, I'm there. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're part of my recovery. I'm glad that you have time in your busy schedule to be a part of my recovery, to listen to my confessions of my recovery. Now, let me get back to it. Now, when the male and the female are in a position now to put their best foot forward, you notice people that when we get clean time and we start taking care of ourselves, we start dressing right, we start being very neat, very particular about how we look, how we approach others, and we appreciate people seeing us in a different light. You know, I remember when I got clean and sober, I, I used to go in a particular franchise and I used to tear their asses up. I used to steal up out of there. I would get I didn't believe in buying my toiletries. I made sure I had the right type of body wash. I made sure I had cologne. I made sure I had the top of the line deodorant. I made sure I had the right razors, not the cheap razors. I made sure I had the toothpaste. I made sure of these things. And I used to tear particular store up all the time. And I got snagged and got caught. Police was called and they told me that I was not allowed back in that store. They took a picture of me. And in my recovery, I didn't realize that this was the store. I was going into the store and I was going in with my wife. And at the time, she was not my wife. And we was going into that store. And I didn't realize that that was the store that I was tearing their asses up. And I walked up in there and I said, "Oh man, these people gonna give me." And is she gonna know? I said, "I'm just gonna be quiet, just shop and act like normal, and hope they don't recognize me." Nobody recognized me. A matter of fact, they treated me with respect. That person that I was in my addiction wasn't the same person that walked through the store. I guess because the way I looked, I was healthy, the way I was dressed, the way I was conducting myself. I was not a threat. And then I left out the store and I had to explain it to my wife. She's my wife now. I had to explain it to her. I said, "Wow, that's amazing." And here's the thing. In your recovery, when you happen to fall in areas where you used to be when you was an addict, those people don't look at you like that. They don't even see that person. You don't even be recognized. Some people may recognize you, but a lot of people won't. And it made me feel better about myself that I was considered a productive member of society. And then I felt proud about myself because I was acting as a productive member of society. And then my outlook of going into stores changed. I would go in with a smile on my face. I would be happy, and I didn't really understand why. And I know I really do. I understand why. It's because I used to go into my addiction. I felt that the stuff that I needed, I'm going to get. I deserve that, and I deserve. And I was telling myself it was okay to break the law, and I didn't care. I only cared about the end result. But now that I'm in recovery, I'm happy to go to the store and pay for the items. I'm happy that nobody follows me around in the store. I'm happy nobody says I need to check your bag. And see, now I understand why I be happy when I be in stores. A blessing of recovery. Relationships. When I'm in stores, I engage with people. I speak. Good morning, good afternoon. How you doing? You having a great day? I'm not that same person anymore that I was in my addiction. And the thing is, when I look back and then I look as today, I've changed 120% different. Recovery has changed my outlook, the way I look at things, the way I make decisions. It has changed me totally to a different human being than I was in my addiction. And I understand this because I pay attention to myself. And the reason why I pay attention to myself is because I duped myself for 40 years in my active addiction. I, Robert Goodman, destroyed Robert Goodman's life for 40 years behind the decisions that I made. I accept that. I don't like that. I wish that I could make amends to everybody and it works out fine, but that's not how life works. People are not going to forgive you if you hurt them. You can hurt them one time and you become their enemy for life. And you may not even know it. But you know that they have an attitude with you, but to them you may be their enemy for the rest of their life. And they're just looking a way to get back at you. There are people like that. There are people that forgive you for the mistakes that you made, that they learn you. They make mistakes with you, you forgive them. So these are people that are seriously about having a relationship with you, understanding that I'm imperfect, they're imperfect, we make mistakes, we can work through it, and we can still have a sound relationship. Those are people I want to be around because I know I'm an imperfect person. Covey taught me that. That's why I pay attention to myself. And then you know what it says. You have no control over people, places, or things. You done heard that before. If you're in recovery and you ain't never heard that, you ain't in recovery. You're definitely not in recovery. And it's said enough, it's shared enough, so you will understand that this is a fact. It's a fact. I want to say hi to y'all. How y'all doing? I'm glad you're a part of my recovery. I'm glad that you have time to come and be a part of my recovery. Listen to my confessions of my recovery. Thank you for being here. Let me get back to it. Now, when I had built some time up in my recovery, uh, and my work situation was great, and I was doing overtime too when the money was flowing. I lived a modest budget, and when I was happy, I was happy that I was able to live this modest budget, that I didn't have to worry about nothing, that everything was covered. I made sure that the money I made covered all my bills, and I still had some left over. And I could always treat myself. I could treat myself each week to a meal out, and I could buy me something. That's how I worked. And been able to save a little something too. And that little pattern and that routine gave me so much joy and happiness. And here's the thing, when I got involved into a relationship with my wife, she's now my wife, and I was staying in Glendale, Arizona. She was staying in Mesa, Arizona. And she would come down and pick me up, and I would go there for the weekend because the program that I was in a work program, and I could take I could take a weekend. I could take 2 weekend passes a month, and I could take 2 overnight passes. So what I would do is, 1 week I would take an overnight pass. Then next week I would take a weekend pass. Then I want to take an overnight pass, and I would that's how I do it. But I got tired of her on the overnight pass. I would rent me a U-Haul pickup truck, so I just drive out there, and I gotta leave the next day, so drive back. That way she didn't have to do all that. So it was either usually I try to make it on a Saturday. So yeah, so so I could spend the whole Saturday or Friday, whatever day that she was gonna be totally free, and that's what I would do. And that's because before that, I wasn't spending all my money. So it was very easy for me to do that. And then as the relationship kept on progressing forward and forward and forward, I was at a meeting, and this woman said that she was a recovering addict. She was a speaker for my meeting, and I didn't know that she was a car dealer. And she made an offer to, help people get cars. So after the meeting, I said, "Well, shit, I got how much?" She said I needed. All I needed was 500 down. I said, I got that in right now." And next thing you know, I had a car. She came and picked me up. I went and got the car. I had a car. Recover, recover. Doing things the right way. In the relationship, doing the things the right way. In recovery, I end up having female friends, male friends. My life was good. It was filled. But in recovery, what happens is that people that you become friends with in recovery, a lot of my friends went out, relapsed, took a full pull, and died. And that hurts. That hurts. That hurted me to my core. And I would always wonder what was the why did they do that? What was their reasoning? What was their thought process? And some of them had more time than me. And I got scared because this could happen to me. Some had more time than I did. So, Robert, I think you better pay close attention to yourself in your recovery because they relapsed, they took one hit, and they were dead. That made me think of that old saying that you hear around the rooms: addiction is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I truly understood what that all meant. So when these things happened to me, I kept the focus on myself. Recovery taught me that, Robert, if you don't do the work on self, you're not going to stay clean and sober. And if you're not going to stay clean and sober, then your addiction is going to take you out eventually. The program taught me that you're imperfect, Robert. You're going to make mistakes. Your mistakes, that's not what's important. Is what you do after the mistake. That's what's important. That means you need to address the mistake. You should need to handle that business. And then all of a sudden it came to me, Robert, if you keep the focus on yourself, you won't pick up in use. If you keep the focus on yourself, Robert, you won't pick up in use. If you follow the 12th step, after having a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So if I give it away, I keep it, but I got to constantly give it away. And what's that telling me is, Robbie, you need to have this fresh in your mind. You need to have it fresh in your mind, your addiction, how you got out of addiction, where you are in your recovery, and how easy it is for you to fall back into those patterns. Because the mind has a history of 40 years of addiction in you. That you medicated yourself to feel good, to face all your problems. It solved all your problems. Your mind's telling you that my cocaine that I love so much solved my problems. And the only way that I understand that feeling and that knowledge that's embedded in me, in my mind, I must play the tape all the way through of the pain that addiction has given me. And in recovery, all the stories that I heard of the suffering that addiction gave to others and how much work I had to go through and face the things that I had to face to get to this point in my life is a lot of work. And by me doing that, I need to keep everything focused on me to keep myself free from addiction. And me doing that allowed me to have relationships with people. It's just like I have relationship with my neighbors. I have some awesome neighbors. I mean, I live in an area where I've left my garage door open all night long and nobody comes up into the garage, nobody's stealing. My neighbors help each other. They speak every time. It's the type of atmosphere that I feel where I live at is the same atmosphere I experienced when I was growing up. And that's amazing to find in this time of history of our lives, especially what's going on now. But these are the blessings that recovery has. And I've shared with my neighbors, a couple of them, my history. And they looked at me and said, "You got to be kidding. Not you." And I said, "Yeah, me." And they'd be like, wow. And you could see the shock in their face, in their eyes. But on the flip side, they're like, wow, I'm glad I talked to you. And then we have conversations about related things and situations. And they're asking me for advice. Wow. Recovery, relationships with people. These are the blessings of recovery. I don't know about you, but in my addiction, the level of connection with people, the level of peace and happiness, the level of the relationship I have with my wife, the level of relationship I have with just strangers, the person that I am today, that's all because of recovery. Now, what recovery has given me up to this point, there's no way in God's green earth that I'm going to settle for a hit or a full pull ever again. When you can go to sleep at night and literally sleep and wake up not worrying if you still got the same amount of money in your wallet, not worrying that somebody done took your cigarettes and lighter, not worrying that you have to pay your rent, not worrying that you have to worry about what you're going to eat. These are the blessings of recovery. And here's the thing, if you have a wife or you have a girlfriend or if you have a boyfriend or whatever, the dynamics of your relationship with someone that you love, they're willing to trust you with themselves. Is the greatest gift that recovery has ever given you. Someone is willing to trust you, to trust you. That's a blessing. That's you should hold on to tightly and never let it go. Another blessing is, ladies, y'all go get your hair done now. You go get your nails done now. You go shop and let your beauty and your sexuality of expression come out in the clothes you wear and the way you conduct yourself. You couldn't do that in your addiction. And men, y'all going to the gym, working out, having that physique. You wasn't doing that in your addiction. The joy of living your best life is the gratitude that your recovery has given. My recovery has given me a wife, and I got Pinky, which is the main dog, and then I have three of her girls here, and they run the house. Anybody come near this house, they're barking. They want to go outside. They're ready to attack, but they ain't going near them. But they're gonna be far away, making sure that they be heard. But I love my chihuahuas, and these are the blessings of my recovery. So I hope I shared some things to make you think about the blessings of your recovery. Think about them blessings. Think about what you did to get there. You did the work. Trust me. And I know it wasn't easy because mine, I had 40 years worth of shit. Some of y'all may not have as much as I did, but shoo. And I'm still working on it. And I'll be working on it until the day I die. That's the acceptance of the program of recovery. You will be working on your recovery until the day you die. And when you die sober, you have won the fight. When you die sober, you have won the fight. You are the hero of recovery because you have died clean and sober. But until then, you keep fighting the faith. You keep looking good. You keep respecting and loving yourself. And here's the thing, don't let no one divert you from your primary purpose of staying clean and sober. This is Robert Goodman. You have a great and wonderful day.